Right, guys, episode 28 of Dynasty Trades in 5. I'm Clay.
I'm Shane, and welcome to episode 316 of Dynasty Trades in 5.
I'm Scott. No, it's episode 28. Please listen to our master and commander, Clay. We're going to talk about a interesting player tonight.
Yeah, so I'm not the master and commander, first off. I'm like the Keyshawn Vaughn of this group. But we did get 100 subscribers today, which was freaking awesome. So thanks to everyone who watches this and listens to these two guys. So we are talking Marquise Hollywood Brown. Shane, you're up first.
People are still hung up on the bad half season he had last year. He had a terrible start to the season after a lot of people pumped him up in the offseason. Talking about like this guy's got wide receiver 1 potential. Okay, well, we've come back from that. He's probably never going to be a wide receiver 1, right? Not with Bateman there, stealing targets, and not with Andrews, and still in a relatively lower passing volume offense. But what he is he's a guy that can give you spike weeks like he did a couple weeks back, and he's a guy that can score 20 points in the fourth quarter after being held silent all week. He's actually been pretty consistent this year too, and I know that goes against what people believe because he's fast and small, and they can only, they either score 60 or nothing every week, apparently, is what everyone believes. But I like him a lot still. He's still a guy that I think he can get fairly cheap.
Got thoughts on Hollywood?
Well, a couple things to throw out. 14th, that is where Lamar Jackson ranks in passing attempts per game, which is something that nobody expected. I think that the biggest bank on any of their weapons, whether it's Andrews, Hollywood Brown, Rashad Bateman, taking that step from wherever they were to like the exponential step up to where people actually covet this player above, the median or the mean at the position. Because that's the biggest thing is when you're investing in a receiver in this range, which I think we can all agree Hollywood Brown fits in this range. What are you getting on top of that? Do you have a ceiling that could give you 30 plus points a game? Probably yes. Do you have an offense that could go 45, 50 attempts in a given week? This year, yes, we have that as well. And then targets. I mean, if you just look at Hollywood Brown's targets, he's only played 8 games. A lot of other players have played 9. He has 69 targets in 8 games. So you could say he's basically around 8.5, 9 targets a game. Now, a lot of those games were without Bateman. Andrews is still in there as well. But I tend to think that this is a buy. We've talked about some other receivers in the past that we haven't been able to adjust quickly enough to their value, a la Calvin Ridley, maybe a la Mike Williams. Maybe Mike Williams is going back the other way now. Who knows? But I don't think the market has caught up on Marquise Brown yet. I don't want to say he's Tyreek Hill, but he's basically what Tyreek Hill was before he started getting 10 targets a game. And that's pretty good. So, I think he's easily a top 24 receiver, and he's one of those where I think there's still range. You can fire away random firsts maybe and get him, and he's probably worth more. So I think he's a buy.
So would you go Henderson or Hollywood?
Darryl or
Straight
Hollywood? Hollywood.
Definitely in the same range. It really just depends on get some format specific questions. I'm in a lot of leagues that are start 1 running back. In those, it's Hollywood. I don't need extra running backs on my roster. I want to fit them out as much as I can. Start 2 if you need a running back. I mean, we've already talked about paying a first for Henderson. That type. Elijah Mitchell, same thing. You could do Elijah Mitchell versus Hollywood Brown. I'd curious where Shane would be on that since we just did Elijah Mitchell last. Hollywood or Elijah Mitchell?
Hollywood.
Okay. So, I mean, I think we're all talking about the same rate. But Hollywood, I think, is here to stay. So if you have an extra running back, it's a smart pivot to get off of that risk at running back and acquire a guy like him.
Okay, so other RBs, Josh Jacobs or Marquise Brown?
Marquise Brown.
Probably Brown. I actually kind of like Jacobs as a buy the second half of this year. He's the type where the value's kind of flipped all the way around the other way to where it's like he's been hated on for so long. He's probably still going to be top 15 running back, top 20 running back the rest of the way. So I still go Hollywood, though.
How about James Robinson?
Hollywood.
Same thing.
T. Higgins or Hollywood?
I'm going to take T. Higgins.
I go Higgins. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yep. Deontay.
I was just going to say that one, Dion. That one is close because I think they win in totally different ways.
Yep.
Man, if Hollywood's getting 8+ targets a game, that's hard to not take him, honestly.
Yeah, and and that's the thing is, and he doesn't need to win with volume. Like he can have those games where he can survive on 3 targets because one of them's going to be for 40 yards.
Okay, Marquise and a 2022 second, or Rondale Moore and a 23 first.
Rondell in the first.
Man, everyone knows Rondale's been kind of a polarizing sell for me. Ugh. I can't resist those 2023 firsts. I just feel like I'm going to be able to do more with that than swapping receivers. So I think I'd still go Rondale in the first.
And then how about Hollywood and a mid 2022 first, or Tyreek?
How many am I starting? Can you just
Starting 10.
Shit. I can't move off of Tyreek for that.
I like that trade. That is a good process trade, but I think start 10, I would still agree it's Tyreek.